Before we begin, I should warn you that I'm probably going to glaze Paloma a little bit. She is one of my favorite pilots. After spending a lot of time testing and planning around her future upgrades, it's hard not to be excited about what she can do. Paloma is not meta-defining pilot. If you are focusing purely on chasing the strongest units in the game, she is absolutely skip-able. You won't damage your account by passing on her. That said, Paloma is one of those rare off-meta pilots who remains genuinely strong and continues to improve as the game evolves. What makes Paloma stand out isn't route numbers alone. It's her unique playstyle, excellent boss poking capability, multiply re-attack opportunities, and the kit that rewards good positioning and planning. She starts out solid on release, but with investments, she scales into surprisingly powerful long-term sniper, or we should call camper. You see what I mean. Alright, let's break down her kit, upgrades, and you decide whether she is worth your resources. Paloma talent. If you are wondering why I like Paloma so much, this is huge reason why. Now, I know her kit looks complicated when you first read it, but trust me, once you start playing her, she is actually very straightforward. Thanks to her talent, Paloma can activate directional rack mode through her skill. And while she is this mode, every hit on enemy grants a stack of positional advantage. She can build up to 8 stacks. And each stack increases both recruit rate and reduce damage taken. The important thing to remember is that these stacks never expire. They stay forever until you leave directional rack mode. So, what exactly does this mode do? Normally, Paloma has the standard 4-tile sniper range, but once she enters directional rack mode, her attack range changes into massive 5-tile fan-shaped area in fixed direction. In practice, this means she can hit enemies from surprisingly far away, as long as they are inside that firing zone. The downside is that she is basically setting up a sniper nest. She cannot move, she cannot change direction, and if one of her arms get destroyed, she will automatically leave the mode. So think of Paloma as a camper sitting in the corner of the map, casually sniping targets from across the battlefield. Another thing to keep in mind is that you will need to wait at least one turn before using her retract skill to exit manually. And of course, leaving the mode means losing all of your potential advantage stacks. Paloma also gains stealth after her action if there are no enemies within 3 tiles, which open up some interesting synergy with future stealth-focused backpacks. And yes, despite being a sniper, she can still shoot enemies standing right next to her, but only if they are directly in front of her while she is in direction rack mode. As for her A3 upgrade, it may not look amazing at the first glance, but once we get into her signature weapon and neural drives activated, you will see why it's actually very strong investments. That said, A1 is perfectly fine when she is first released. Skill 1 Offensive Skill. This skill only costs 1 AP, and it's one of the biggest reasons I like Paloma so much. The damage multiplier is only 0.8, so the damage itself isn't anything crazy. But that's not why this skill is good. The important part is that Paloma can re-attack without needing to destroy a part first. For boss fights, that's huge. A character who can keep poking the boss every turn for extra damage without relying on part breaks always have value, and Paloma does exactly that. The downside is that you can only use this skill once per turn. However, in the future, we'll get backpack that can reset that skill. Normally, snipers can re-attack up to 3 times after destroying enemies, meaning they can attack 4 times in one turn. Paloma takes that even further, because this skill doesn't consume her normal re-attack chain. She can potentially attack 5 times in a single turn. And with the weapon switch backpack later on, we are talking about 6 attacks in single turn. Skill 2, Option 1. This is your standard 2 AP sniper shot with 1.2 damage multiplier. This skill can only be useful while Paloma is in direction rack mode, which is where she will spend most of her time anyway. A common play is using her 1 AP skill first to soften up a lead enemy, then following up with this stronger shot to finish the target. Skill 2, Option 2. I think this will probably be less popular option because it depends heavily on the map. After all, enemies don't always line up nicely for us. But what if we could completely ignore that limitation? What if I told you you can actually manipulate paths and create our own firing lines? So even if enemies aren't standing in perfectly straight line, it's possible to set up some very satisfying multi-target shots.
不要挣扎哦。
The damage multiplier may only be 1.0, but every enemy code in that path takes a full hit. The value comes from hitting multiple enemies at once and potentially securing multiple kills. It can even act as a free re-attack setup during boss stages. Imagine a boss standing behind several weaker enemies. We clear the mobs, damage the boss at the same time, then follow up with 1 AP skill for another re-attack, and later finish with a stronger 2 AP shot. Skill 3, Passive. This passive is simple but perfect for Paloma. Since she wants to stay in one spot most of the time anyway, the condition is extremely easy to maintain. Free 15% damage boost for most of the battle. Skill 3, Signature Skill. This skill looks really flashy. Paloma can attack up to 5 times, gains 50% crit rate for the skill, and each hit gets a higher damage multiplier than the previous one. Against the right target, the damage can be ridiculous. The problem is targeting. If there are 5 available targets, the skill always prioritizes the parts with the lowest HP. And if there are fewer than 5 targets, the attack becomes random. That's why I don't think this will be her best bossing skill. For boss fights, consistency matters, and random targeting isn't ideal. Where the skill really shines is AoE stages. If the map is packed with tanks, helicopters or a lot of enemies, this can quickly clear the field while also building potential advantage stacks incredibly fast. It's not the skill I'll bring for every situation, but it's definitely a powerful option for mob heavy content. Signature weapon, how good is it? This signature weapon is extremely good for Paloma. The biggest upgrade is increasing her maximum stack limit. More stacks mean more crit, more reduction and more damage from neural drives. It also speeds up her stacking process because critical hits generate additional stacks. And on top of that, every stack now increases her damage multiplier. At maximum total, Paloma can reach 16 stack, giving her up to 0.2 additional damage multiplier. Normally, leaving the mode would remove all of her stacks. With the signature weapon, she only loses 8 stacks. That means she can actually keep part of her power while repositioning and setting up a new sniper nest somewhere else. The weapon also comes with two universal passive. First, she will most likely gain 1 free AP every turn, because landing critical hits is not difficult for Paloma. Second, she gains additional bonus against the targets that are at least 3 tiles away. For a sniper like Paloma, that's basically free stats. Overall, this signature weapon improves her damage, her consistency and her quality of life all at once. Again, the only downside, it's from Arm Conquest number 15, so we have to wait a while before getting access to it. Now, let's talk about Alicorn, because I know a lot of people are probably wondering if this thing is actually worth their pulse. Honestly, the answer depends a lot on whether you are planning to build Paloma or not. Looking at the 4-piece effect first, it's big awkward. You are guaranteed a nice 15% damage boost, which is already solid, but the rest of the bonus depends on how many enemies are currently on the field. For Paloma, that's usually not a huge problem, because directional rack mode covers such a large area. The real issue is that once you start deleting enemies, the bonus naturally drops off. To reach the maximum effect, we need 7 enemies on the field, which isn't something we will see all the time. I would expect most players to see it somewhere around 15 to 20% damage increase during actual gameplay. The real reason I'm interested in Alicorn isn't 4-piece effect, it's rainbow bonus, critical rate and requirement to stay still before attacking. That's basically Paloma's entire kit. She wants to sit in one spot, set up her rack mode and start farming enemies from across the map. So the condition is almost permanently active. And it's not just Paloma. William loved this thing as well. This will be the best in slot ST for William also. Once fully upgraded, every critical hit also starts building critical damage, up to 50%. If you rainbow this ST and throw it on Paloma or William, you would definitely notice a lot of red numbers, a lot of satisfying damage. So should you pull? If you are planning to invest in Paloma, absolutely. If you have William build, absolutely. If you are thinking ahead for future snipers like Berta, then it's also pretty good pickup. For free-to-play players especially, I still think pilots like Rosa Judgment, Ada, some of the upcoming characters should be higher priority. Don't take me wrong, Paloma is strong, but she is not one of those drop everything and pull units. Weapon setup. For weapons, long-term goal is obviously Paloma's signature weapon from Arm Conquest 15. Before that arrives, Natalia's signature weapon is the best replacement. And please don't use Kelly's signature weapon. That weapon is basically made for Kelly and doesn't really shine on other snipers. And in the future, soon from Arm Conquest number 10, switch weapon backpack. This backpack is where Paloma starts becoming really scary. Remember her 1 AP skill? The one that lets her attack again without needing to destroy a part. Normally, you can only use it once per turn. With the switch weapon backpack, you can reset that skill and use it a second time. Module recommendation. Shadow Rabbit is easily my favorite choice. Paloma's positional advantage stacks count as a buffs, which means Shadow Rabbit ramps up incredibly fast on her. Rex is another strong alternative. Just remember to activate Rex before using AoE attacks, if you want full value. Malthus work on the opposite way. Use your AoE attack first, then follow up with single target attacks to take advantage of the buff. Ignite is also very solid, because Paloma naturally fights at the long range. so maintaining the distance requirement is almost effortless. The famous Dread Talon, it's decent as well. It doesn't interact with her code skill, but most of Paloma damage comes from her normal attacks anyway, so it's still okayish if you don't need AoE skills. And if you just want something simple and reliable, Ranger is always there with its permanent damage bonus. Accessories recommendation. Neural Drive overview. How much investments does she actually need? If Paloma is one of your favorites, she is worth investing in, because her neural drives are solid. At minimum, I would aim for Sector 1 at 7 CP and Sector 2 at 13 CP. The 1 CP node helps her stack much faster by granting additional stack when destroying parts. And once her signature weapon arrives, stack generation becomes super easy. Hit enemy, gain stack, destroy part, gain stack, crit, gain stack. At 7 CP, she gets the standard AP generation, which is always useful. 10 CP. This unlocks quick orientation, and honestly, this should have been part of her base kit. Normally, if enemies move out of your firing lane, you have to leave rack mode, lose stacks, wait, then set everything up again. Quick orientation fixes that. We can rotate, reposition, even teleport around obstacles. And best of all, it still counts as a not moving for passive requirements. It's one of those upgrades that completely changes how smooth a pilot feels to play. At 13 CP, she gets even more scaling. With 12 stacks, you are looking at 24 bonus damage. With her signature weapon, pushing her to 16 stack, that becomes 32% damage. That is exactly why her signature weapon, A3 talent, and neural drives all work so well together. The final 16 CP node is mostly quality of life, nice to have, but not mandatory. Although once rainbow chips arrive, every CP starts becoming more valuable anyway. So if you are fully committed to Paloma, you will probably end up taking everything eventually. I know Paloma isn't meta, I know she isn't master pool, and I know a lot of people who skip her for Ada, Matilda, Adele, Rosemary. That's completely fair, but I think she is one of the most good off-meta pilots and long-term investments in the game. She starts well, then Arm Conquest number 10 for Switch Weapon Backpack, then her signature weapon, and her stacking mechanics scale even harder. So if you are asking me whether she is worth investing in, yes, if you like her. Because this isn't a pilot you are pulling because somebody told you she is the strongest unit in the game. You are pulling Paloma because she is fun, cool playstyle, and still puts out very respectable damage when fully built. Personally, I'm going for at minimum of A3. And of course, pulling Alicorn ST. That's all from me, and I hope this helped you understand how she works. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye!